I'm posting this because I finally quit, and honestly, I don't think anyone would believe me if I tried telling this in person. Last month, I took a temporary night security job at Westbrook Mall. It shut down almost 3 years ago after most stores went bankrupt. The place was supposed to be demolished soon, so the owners only needed someone to keep vandals out and make sure homeless people didn't move in. Easy money, right? Quiet building, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., just walk around and log incidents. I needed cash, so I took it. The first night felt creepy but normal. Imagine a mall with no music, no crowds, no lights except emergency ones. Every storefront was dark behind metal gates. Old sale posters still hung in windows, faded and peeling. The air smelled stale, like dust and mold mixed with old food. My job was to patrol every hour, walk all 3 floors, check doors, then sit in the security office watching cameras. The mall had over 200 cameras still working. Most areas looked identical, empty corridors, escalators frozen in place, abandoned kiosks. Nothing happened the first 2 nights. But on the 3rd night, something weird showed up on camera 14. Camera 14 watched the old food court. At around 1:17 a.m., I noticed a chair had moved. I know that sounds dumb, but the chairs were stacked neatly every night. On camera, one chair was sitting alone in the middle of the floor. I thought maybe cleaners had come earlier, so I went to check. The food court was empty when I got there. Chairs stacked perfectly, nothing out of place. I figured I misremembered. Back in the office, camera 14 still showed the single chair in the middle of the floor. But now it was turned toward the camera. I froze. I replayed footage, it showed nothing moving. One frame the chairs were stacked. Next frame the single chair appeared. No person, no motion. Just there. I convinced myself the camera glitched. Old system, bad connection, happens all the time. Still, something felt wrong the rest of the shift. Night 4 got worse. At 2:03 a.m., motion sensors triggered in the kids' play area on the 2nd floor. That area was sealed off and entrances were locked. Protocol said I had to check. Walking there felt awful. My flashlight barely lit the hallway, and every step echoed like someone walking behind me. When I reached the play area gate, it was slightly open. It shouldn't have been. Inside, everything looked normal at first. Plastic slides, foam mats, cartoon animals. Then I noticed the ball pit. The balls were moving. Like something underneath was slowly shifting. Not jumping or splashing, just pushing upward and sinking again. My brain tried to explain it. Maybe air trapped underneath, maybe rats. But rats don't move balls in waves. I stood frozen for a good 30 seconds before shining my flashlight directly into it. The movement stopped instantly. Everything went still. And then from somewhere inside the pit, I heard a slow, wet exhale. I backed out and locked the gate, pretending I didn't hear it. Security rule number 1, don't investigate stupid things alone. I reported animal activity in the log and stayed in the office until morning. But things kept happening. Every night after that, something new. Escalators briefly starting on their own. Store alarms tripping in locked shops. Mannequins appearing in different positions than before. Camera feeds cutting out whenever something strange appeared. One time, every screen flickered at once, and for about 2 seconds, all cameras showed the same hallway. A hallway that didn't exist in the mall. It was longer, darker, with doors lining both sides. And at the end, something tall was standing there. Too tall to be human. Then the feeds returned to normal. I almost quit that night. But I needed the money, and nothing had actually hurt me. Until last Tuesday. That shift started normal, quiet, boring. I even relaxed enough to watch YouTube on my phone between patrols. At around 3:40 a.m., fire alarms triggered in the basement storage area. No smoke showed on cameras, but alarms force inspection. I grabbed my flashlight and went down. The basement corridors were narrow and full of delivery doors and storage rooms. My footsteps sounded too loud, and the alarm echoed everywhere. Halfway down the hall, the alarm suddenly stopped. Total silence. Then my radio crackled. I assumed dispatch was calling, but instead I heard my own voice. Saying, "Hello," exactly how I'd said it earlier that night. Then footsteps came through the radio. Not recordings, live steps. Matching mine. I stopped walking. The footsteps kept going. Coming closer. My radio hissed again and my voice whispered. Don't turn around. My whole body locked. Because behind me, I heard breathing. Not on the radio. In the hallway. Slow and close. I forced myself to turn anyway. Nothing there. Empty corridor. But when I looked down, wet footprints trailed behind me. Bare human footprints. Leading right up to where I stood. And stopping. I ran. Didn't care about procedure. Didn't care about dignity. I ran straight back to the security office and locked myself in. The rest of the night, cameras started glitching again. Except this time, I saw something moving in different parts of the mall. Not clearly, just glimpses. A shape passing store entrances. Standing behind pillars. Watching escalators. Always just at the edge of view. And then at 5:12 a.m., every camera showed it clearly. A person standing in the main atrium. Tall, too thin, head tilted sideways. It looked directly at the camera. And smiled. Except its mouth opened too wide, like it didn't know how humans smile. I stared, unable to move. Then the thing lifted one arm and slowly pointed upward. Toward the security office. Toward me. My office door handle started rattling. Slowly at first. Then violently. Something slammed into the door again and again, hard enough to shake the frame. I shoved a cabinet against it and hid under the desk like a terrified kid. The pounding lasted maybe 30 seconds. Then stopped. Silent. A minute later, my replacement guard arrived and knocked normally, asking why the door was blocked. Nothing else happened. Management blamed vandals, said cameras malfunctioned. But here's the part that made me quit. Yesterday, I went back during daytime to return my uniform. Workers were preparing demolition plans. One guy asked if I'd worked nights. I said yes. He looked uneasy and told me something. Back in the early 2000s, before renovations, a maintenance worker disappeared inside the mall, last seen in basement corridors. Search teams never found him. But security logs kept showing movement on cameras at night for weeks afterward. Even after power was cut. And every guard back then reported the same thing before quitting. Something walking empty halls. Watching from cameras. Standing where it shouldn't be. And one guard quit after seeing footprints appear behind him. Exactly like mine. Demolition starts next month. But here, the problem. Last night at 3:40 a.m., my phone rang. Blocked number. Half asleep, I answered. And heard mal ambience. Distant echoes, escalator hum. Then footsteps. And my own voice whispered. Don't turn around. I live alone. And behind me in my apartment hallway, I heard wet footprints. Coming closer.